A few years ago, I was a mess. I was lost in addiction, drowning in anxiety, and wasting my life away on weed, booze, and Xbox. Today, I run every day, I hit the gym, eat clean, stay sober, I manage my own money, and I wake up ambitious every single day with a list of goals. This is how I dug my way out of the darkness. It took me 3 years of struggle, relapses, and hard-earned lessons. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Daily Ascent. My name is Simon, and today we're going to talk about my life story. Basically, how I got to where I am today and all the struggles I've been through in my past. So let's get into it. Everything for me kind of started around middle school time. That's when I started using social media and I started dabbling with nicotine and weed. It's when I started watching porn. I never really had a strong solid friend group. I never played any sports, so I was never on a sports team. I was just kind of a loner for the most part. I kind of did everything alone, and I quit caring about school as much. I started to play more video games and just developing bad habits. And then I went to high school and everything got worse. My high school was large. I think I had about 5,300 kids in my school. I think my graduating class was like 13 or 1,400, something ridiculous. But my anxiety was just horrible. I didn't really hang out with people outside of school. You got your school friends, and then outside of that, I was by myself for the most part. I was just so overwhelmed that I kind of just started to shut down. I started to isolate, and I was smoking a lot of weed. I would bring my dab pen to school, and I would hit it at home too. I'd basically just smoke weed, jack off, and play Xbox. That was my high school, to be honest with you. I had no ambition. I didn't care about school, didn't play any sports. I had no goals, so I just didn't really care. And then my sophomore year of high school, it's when I started drinking. So I was smoking and drinking, and I wasn't partying, so I wasn't hanging out with people. I was just by myself, just playing Xbox, watching TV, just getting drunk, smoking. And then that kind of just became a habit. I was addicted to social media and TV, and I was just a lazy piece of shit. And then I kind of just started to spiral more into the drug scene, and my parents kind of caught it, and they took me out of school my junior year of high school, and they put me in a 2-month outpatient rehab program. And honestly, after that just kind of made it worse. Before rehab, I was smoking and I was drinking a lot. And then after rehab, I was introduced to new people, new drugs. So after rehab, I started doing a lot of psychedelics because psychedelics don't show up on drug tests. After that, I just didn't really care anymore. So I started doing Molly and popping pills, and it kind of just led down this very, very bad spiral. And I feel like I grew up, and a lot of other kids too, my age, my generation. There's just so much, like on your phone and on your TV, there's just so much media that we consume. And I felt like early on, a lot of addiction that people really started to ignore, like being addicted to phones and, oh, it's not a big deal, or being addicted to porn, oh, it's not a big deal, but it really is. That stuff can really slow your development down and impact you in a very negative way. But I didn't really notice it, I didn't really care, right? I was the one caught up in it. So my mind was just constantly feeding on new information and new media, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, binge watching stuff on Netflix. It was just constantly, it needed stimulation of some kind, and if I didn't have it, I was just bored, or I was anxious or depressed. I needed some kind of stimulation. I know a lot of other people did too, especially my age. So you get into that habit of social media, and you just get in the dopamine cycle, and then I unfortunately mixed drugs into that mix, so then I needed drugs plus that other dopamine cycle, and it's not good. And I didn't really realize what it was doing, right, to me long term, or to my brain, or to my depression and anxiety. I didn't know, but I just kept doing more of it, and it kept leading me down the wrong path. And I was just digging myself deeper and deeper into this hole that I didn't even know I was digging. I listened to a lot of rap music growing up, so a lot of Juice WRLD, XXX, Lil Peep, Mac Miller, which obviously wasn't good for the brain. All they talked about was heartbreak and drugs and isolation. But I felt like I kind of related to that, but at the same time, I feel like it just made it worse because it just made me want to do those things. But when things really started to get bad, I think it was my senior year of high school. I was by myself, and I had a really bad acid trip. And this was after, I'd already been doing psychedelics. I didn't really think anything of it. And then boom, all of a sudden, really bad acid trip. I'm not going to go into the details, but it was not good. And I feel like that was a really, really big wake-up call for me, but it wasn't big enough. After that, I was still smoking, I was still drinking, but life completely changed for me after that. I was just super, super anxious all the time, like almost paranoid. And it got to the point where it was so bad that I started popping Xanax, and I got hooked on Xanax pretty bad. And then it just got to a point where I was like, hey, look, Simon, man, you can't keep doing this. You're going down the wrong path. This is not going to end up well for you. I was like, okay, I'm done. I bought my last batch. I was done with Xanax. And then I went through some pretty gnarly withdrawals because I just quit cold turkey, which you're not supposed to do. I was about 140 pounds and I dropped down to about 100 pounds. And I would say maybe a month and a half, 2 months. I would wake up every single morning, I would throw up, and I would just be extremely anxious all the time. So this was just a really, really low point for me. I just graduated high school, didn't go to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was bouncing around jobs. I was working at a golf course, and then worked at Target, and then a FedEx factory job. Couldn't pass any drug tests. And I started to look for jobs where I could keep smoking and work, so I decided to do landscaping. And I actually stuck with that for a decent while, but I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me, and I wanted a healthier lifestyle. That's when I started working at a smoothie shop. And I feel like that's when I really started to make an effort to make a change, right? Because I knew I needed to change, but there was just something in me that couldn't take that step to do it. And when I started working at the smoothie shop, I just became a little bit more professional. I quit smoking and drinking as much. I would only do it on the weekends. I started going to the gym. I started running, just replacing bad habits with good habits. I started meditating and reading and getting into self-help and watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts and just really diving into it, really working on myself, because that's what I needed to do. The biggest things for me personally were going to the gym, and then honestly probably running. Even to this day, running is my outlet. Even now, if I'm in a bad mood or I'm just not feeling right, my girlfriend's like, hey, did you run today? You should probably go run. Running really, there's just something about running that is so liberating, and I am addicted to it. Even with all this work, my depression and anxiety was still eating at me, and it really led me to a breaking point. I started taking the gym and running to the next level. It became a daily habit because I just needed something more. But that still wasn't enough. I needed a change. I needed to leave. So one day I sold all my stuff and I bought a one-way ticket to Hawaii. And yeah, within the first 5 days, I had a beat-up pickup truck. I had a little studio apartment on the beach, and I found a job at a golf course. I told myself when I moved to Hawaii, I'm from Indiana, so I moved from Indiana to Hawaii, and I told myself that I was gonna swear off drugs, I was never gonna touch drugs, I was gonna surround myself with the right people and just replace all my bad habits with good habits. It was supposed to be a clean, fresh start, the perfect life, but that's not how it ended up. The biggest thing I learned from moving 5,000 miles away by myself was that you can't outrun your demons. Your demons will follow you. Your problems aren't gonna go away if you just run away. But I told myself I was done with drugs, I was gonna live a better life, I was gonna set goals, and I did that at first for 2 weeks. I set my goals, I had my life going, I was like, all right, I can do this, and then I met some people, and I started smoking and drinking. It was every other day, and then it turned into every day after work, and I just kind of fell back into it. But like I said, you can't outrun your demons, you gotta face them. So every single day was a struggle, but I would not give up. I had to commit to doing this for myself and my future. So I basically made a deal with myself. Every time I had the urge to get high or drink or just a bad habit of any kind, I would go to the gym or I would go on a run, which turned out to be a lot. I was going to the gym 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day. I was running 7 days a week. It was just, it was an unhealthy amount. It wasn't good for my body or my joints because I wasn't taking the right amount of time to recover and eat properly. So it just wasn't ideal. But the more I did it, the easier it got. So I kind of slowed down the gym and the running. I mean, still 6 to 7 days a week, but only once a day. So I wasn't just killing myself with these workouts. But that just goes to show how much power the gym and running really has on Yeah, I mean, your body, you get your body right, your mind right, but just the amount it does for your self-discipline, it truly is on another level. And I really started to dig myself out of that hole that I dug, and it was a very, very deep hole. And I feel like I'm still digging myself out. You know, I'm not completely out of that. I'm not perfect. I still work on it every single day. I really did start to become a new man, and I could see myself changing, and I started to become proud of who I was becoming, and the fact that I was working towards my goals that I set. It just, you know, when you see little bits of progress here and there, that's what keeps you going. It's not, okay, I just worked out for 2 weeks, I don't really notice a difference. It's the, okay, I just worked out every day for 3 months, and now I think I look better. And that right there, that's gonna keep you going. That is gonna keep that spark alive, and that is gonna ignite into a fire. That is everything. It's like, I had a good friend of mine kind of explain this to me. It's like you're taking a bunch of steps forward, a bunch of little steps forward, and you take one massive step back. But that step back is still further than where you were before. So you take a bunch of little steps forward, you take that massive step back, but you're still further than where you were. And then you take a bunch of little more steps forward, and then you get past that massive step, and you take another step back, but you're further than where you were before. So it's just taking a bunch of little steps at a time, and then just one big step back, because you're gonna have setbacks, and you're not always gonna be motivated, and you're gonna have bad days. And for me, as an example, you're gonna relapse, right? I relapsed. Honestly, like from rehab to now, I would say I've relapsed thousands of times. Technically, a relapse, thousands of times, right? So you're gonna have your setbacks. I just didn't give up. And I would do it, I would feel like shit, and then I would be like, okay, fuck this, I'm gonna do it again. But I would not give up. I never gave up. And that leads me to where I am today. And I feel like I'm in a lot better spot than where I was, and I'm proud of the man who I've become. I mean, over this past year, I have become obsessed with stocks and the stock market, and investing my money and learning how to manage my money. And I've grown my stock portfolio to over $45,000. For the past year, I've been going to the gym every day. I've been running every day, reading, meditating, journaling. Journaling's huge. Journaling plays a big part in that, because I feel like, especially for young men, we don't show our emotions as well as women, right? Women have an easier time showing emotions, and I kind of envy that, right? Because men are seen as weak or pathetic if they show emotions or tell people how they're feeling or cry. So I feel like journaling might be a good outlet for a lot of young men, because you can really get those emotions down on a piece of paper and get it out of your head, because that stuff, it does build up. And if you're anything like me, I let it build up until it boils, and then I just get way too overwhelmed or depressed, or I shut down. So I would say, especially for young men, journaling is so important. And I wasn't a big fan of like writing, so I didn't love to journal, but I would do like video journals. So I would just set up my camera, and I would talk to my camera and just basically just talk to my future self about what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. And that helped me so much. And I never did anything with those videos, right? Like, I never posted them. Eventually I would just delete them over time because they took up too much space. So those really were just for me. I didn't even go back to watch them. They were just for me to get my feelings out, and just to talk to someone without feeling judged, or people thinking that I'm weak or pathetic. And then eventually I got the courage to, actually talk to people and tell people how I'm feeling. But that's kind of how I started out, and I feel like that was a great foundation, because I feel like all my life men have kind of been told, oh, don't cry, you can't, you gotta play it cool, you can't act like that, you can't do that. It's all bullshit. I mean, you gotta let out your feelings. If you're feeling sad, you tell someone you're feeling sad. If you're angry, you tell someone you're feeling angry. Like, you gotta do it, right? Like, that's so important. And the fact that people just neglect that, and they think, oh no, I don't need that stuff. That you do. It's really important, and it's helped me a lot. Every day for the past year, I woke up, I went to work, I went to the gym, I went on a run, I ate healthy, reading, journaling, just good habits, and it completely changed my life. And I'm talking every single day for a year straight, and I don't plan on stopping. I didn't do all that just to get here, just to be here, right? I still want to grow, I still want to get better, I want to get jacked. I want to have a better physique. I want to be more financially secure. You know, I want to get better at talking about my feelings and getting stuff off my chest. I want to read more books and learn new things. I want to get better overall. So I didn't just do all that work just to stop. I'm going to keep going. And if anything, I've just gotten more intense. And you get better over time. So at the gym, my workouts are just getting better and better, and my form's getting better, and I feel like I'm getting better pumps. So it's just leading to better results. And then when it comes to clean eating, over time, you develop that habit of eating healthy, and it becomes easier. And same if you apply the habit of reading or journaling or meditating or doing yoga into your life, the more you do it, the easier it's going to be to do. It's just creating that habit, and that is huge. So basically what I did was I replaced bad habits with good habits, and it took me a very long time. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's a lot of trial and error, and you do this, okay, you do it every day for a week, and then, you're like, I'm just going to go back to what I was doing, and then you're like, well, that's just not going to work for me. So then you go back to it and you try it again until it sticks, and eventually it will stick. Now I'm to the point where I feel like I have a decent amount of money for my age. I have a good physique. I have a beautiful girlfriend, and I feel like I've started to build a life that I'm actually proud of, and I'm really enjoying it. And don't get me wrong, my life's not perfect. I still struggle all the time. I still get sad. I still get depressed. I still deal with anxiety, I still deal with drug cravings. Like, my life is not perfect. I don't have it all figured out, not even close. But it's just, you take it one day at a time. You take a bunch of little steps forward and you take a big step back. Then a bunch of little steps forward and then a big step back. That's the secret. You keep going. Consistency is everything. You don't give up. I feel like now for the first time in my life, I'm living with purpose. And that's huge. Everyone needs a purpose. Everyone needs life goals. I feel like people without a purpose are lost. They deal with a lot of depression and anxiety and worthlessness, and they're not having a good time. But once you really start to put the work in to find that not even necessarily find that purpose, but to work towards finding a purpose. That can be a purpose, right? So my purpose right now is working towards finding my purpose. That is my purpose. I don't have my life goal or my life purpose figured out. You don't need that. But my purpose right now is to work towards my purpose. That is my purpose, right? So it took me a while to really fully understand that, because I was like, no, I need my dream job and my life goal. I need everything to fit perfectly. No, it's not going to work like that, and it doesn't work like that. You put in the work to find the things that you want to do, right? And I'm slowly but surely doing that. It took me a while to figure a lot of things out. It took me 3 years to fully, I feel like, take myself out of that negative loop I was stuck in. So it's not going to happen overnight. And I really struggled with depression and anxiety and drug addiction for a big portion of my life. I mean, middle school, all of high school, and 2 years after high school. And people that know me personally, they know what I went through. I mean, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't fun for them. It wasn't fun for me. But I feel like that played an important role into the man I'm becoming today. But it's not gonna happen overnight. It takes years of trial and error and relapses and depression and anxiety. If you're really trying to dig yourself out of that, it's gonna take a while, and it's gonna take a lot of hard work. And sometimes you're gonna give up. But guess what? The next week, when you go back to your old life and you realize it's not working, you're going to hop back on that horse and you're going to try it again. And then you're going to give up again. And you're going to go back to your old life. And then you're going to hop back on that horse and you're going to try it again. Because that's how this game works. It's not perfect. It's not just going to be a perfect ride up. I mean, that's just not the reality of it. It's a struggle every single day. It's not easy. But I feel like that's really how I turned my life around. I just wanted to tell you guys my story and just make sure you guys know I'm a real human. I struggle, and I just want to be real and authentic and genuine with you guys, because a lot of people just fake their social media journey. I feel like a lot of it's bullshit, because they just picture this perfect life and then feed it to you guys over social media, and all you guys see is just people having these most amazing, perfect lives. But that's just not the reality of it. Everybody struggles. Everybody has their struggles, and I just want to make sure I paint a picture of someone who is currently on their journey and doesn't have everything figured out. I want to be real with you guys. I want to be relatable. I want to show you guys that I've gone through a lot of struggle to become the man I am today and to be in the position that I am today. It wasn't pretty, and I'm still figuring stuff out, but I really hope I can help other people figure that out too. And if there's anybody struggling with addiction or depression and anxiety, I hope my content can really start to dig you out of that, because I'm just documenting what works for me in my journey, and the stuff that I'm doing and the stuff that I'm sharing with you guys, that's what works for me, right? That's the stuff that really dug me out of that. So going to the gym and running and self-help and the stock market, those things really played a very, very important role in my life, and I want to share that with you guys, and I'm not going to stop sharing that with you guys. I want to get my point across, and I really, really want to help people out. So I just want to share my story of my past struggles and what my goal here is and what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to share with you guys. I feel like that's really important. I just hope someone out there can maybe relate to this video and find it helpful or useful. There is a way out. If you're dealing with addiction of any kind, whether that be drugs or porn or social media or unhealthy food, just any addictions of any kind or any bad habits of any kind, or you just feel like you're stuck or you're at a plateau, I'm hoping maybe my story can help some people out. But I would say my takeaways from this video would be, get your body and your mind right, and that's going to start to put you in a better position to deal with the things you're dealing with. Me going to the gym and running completely transformed my life. If you don't go to the gym or you don't run, I would say implement those two in any way possible. And then I would say the other big takeaway is that you can't run away from your demons. If you have stuff that you're dealing with, you cannot just turn your back and run away. You have to face them, because one way or another, if you fly 5,000 miles away and start a completely new life, guess what? Your mind followed you too. So everything you were dealing with back home, you're gonna have to deal with it there too. So you can't run away. You stand up and you face it and you do what you have to do to get through it. And you use whatever resources or people you can to do that. I want to leave you guys with a quote from XXXTentacion. He was one of my favorite rappers. He used to do vlogs on YouTube. He only did a couple, but one of his quotes was, create and evolve. You create new habits, you create a new life, whether that be you create a business or art or anything. You just create something and then you evolve. You learn from what you're doing. So you create and evolve. That's one of my favorite quotes, because it just means to keep going, keep creating, keep putting good into the world, and keep putting work into yourself and helping others out. And you're just going to learn from that and just keep growing. But that's all I got for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and it's just, honestly, it's just me putting myself out there. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. It does mean a lot to me, and I will see you guys in the next video.